Hello, 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 everyone. Russell Wright, Network Empire. I'm here with Jimmy Kelly, Sue Bell. Now we're going to talk about the 5 iframe punch. And you might ask yourself, what the heck does the 5 iframe punch have to do with anything that we're going to show you or may have previously shown you? Just want you to know that it is a standalone system, but it also incorporates a lot of the same principles that you may have not already learned and you may already have learned depending upon which videos you've watched. But the 5 iframe punch really started out when we were exploring the SEO aspects of content curation. If you're not familiar with content curation, that's fine. Right now, I'm going to just show you the 5 iframe punch overview, and we are going to provide you with something similar to this. I don't know if it'll be the precise one, but it'll probably be very similar. It's just a little PDF, and the 5 iframe punch is called the 5 iframe punch because it involves iframes. And I don't know if you're familiar with iframes, but depending upon what level of experience you have, a YouTube video is probably the safest and easiest way to describe what a iframe actually is. For instance, if you take a video, and for the purposes of our demonstration, we're actually going to take the 5 iframe punch multi-curation video traffic syndication video that I've actually never syndicated and use that as an example. So in your YouTube account, to give an example of what an iframe is, you go to the embed mode. I hope you can see the embed function. Okay, and you can embed any YouTube video as long as it has permission to be embedded. And it uses a function called an iframe. You can tell it's got an iframe function because the code, this is like the programming code, it's got the word iframe in front of it. Okay, well that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because you can take that embed code and embed it right into a blog. And as soon as you do that for your first time, some of you I know, of course, have probably already done that, but as soon as you do it for the first time, you can actually do different sizes. You have done your first iframe. And I think that's a really great way for people to explore iframes for the first time. You can watch your sizes, you can customize the size of a YouTube video. So of course you have to have a YouTube video. And for the purposes of this demonstration, it's a pretty good idea to have the video be ground zero of your iframe, 5 iframe punch program. YouTube I consider an important element. You do not have to have a YouTube video on your blog, but for the purposes of the 5 iframe punch, it's pretty useful to use that as a reference. So, for example, we'll go ahead and go directly over to, this is one of our blogs, and let me just go ahead and go into the publish mode. Inside of your blog, of course, you have a location under posts where you can publish. So you're going to have to decide what you would like to rank for. More importantly, well, not more importantly, but also very important is what you'd like to broadcast. Make sure that you're converting, make sure that you're going to be selling something. Understand the purpose of your post, which there's a lot of other modules and discussions with Greg Morrison and Jimmy and Sue and other folks inside OMG that you probably are familiar with that. So you can just take and copy and paste that iframe right in here. It's going to insert that video right into your blog. Now I'm inside the text area, just inserting that there. And of course you need to put a title. Okay, and we'll call this the 5 iframe punch as domain authority building, something like that. So I would probably come up with a theme or a topic for the blog post, which I'm really not giving much attention to right now because I just want to make sure you understand the principles. Okay, I'll go ahead and save that as a draft. So what I'm probably going to want to do is put some content in there. I'm not going to waste a lot of your time on that content. I might even come back and add some additional. But probably for now, I'll just take some of the content from the actual training area because I'm going to show you how quickly you can actually curate content. The main thing is always know what the purpose of your article is and what you're actually trying to accomplish. Okay, I'm actually going to do something kind of interesting here. I'm going to take the whole contents of the course because I haven't got time. I can't be bothered with creating any content because I'm trying to demonstrate that for you. I'm going to stick it right in here as content just because I need something to put in there. Okay, and then I can just say something like, here's the content of the 5 iframe punch training course, and you guys are getting all this stuff right now, so you're not going to need to take this course. Obviously, we're doing it now. But the 5 iframe punch training course, here's the content, the 5A for members only. And I have kind of some instant content there because this is all in a protected members area. Way too many links, but I'll come back and correct that later. Just want to give you guys an idea of what content would be. Okay, and in here, there's all kinds of correct content policy for SEO that you guys have probably already learned. I want you to adhere to those. It's beyond the scope of what I'm trying to show you now, but this will all be properly SEO'd content. I need to put some paragraphs here, not only links. In fact, just for the moment, I'm going to break all those links until I can come back and properly edit them. Otherwise, Jimmy, who's listening, will probably kill me. Way too many links on there. Okay. So you'll put whatever content you're going to put in here, come up with a nice paragraph, and these will all be pretty important, for what's going on. So this is actually going to be under Russell Wright Speaks. I've got my own content. I'm not going to have this be a members update. We'll have it be more obscure. So I'm going to put it under a particular category that we have our organization set up to adhere to. Okay, and so also I want to make sure that you pay special attention to all the other blog items. Everything you've already learned about blogging should be filled out. If for some reason I miss the proper SEO functions, please know that's because I want you to understand the iframe method. I'm not going to get into the minutia of everything that we're doing with SEO tagging and all that, but I probably would put things in here like that is in the article. Probably put some, the keyword that I'm tagging and so on and so forth, just so you guys know that you need to do that because this is ground zero. Okay, put your proper tagging in and your keywords and so on and so forth. Okay, and basically at this point, let's go back, and what you can do is you can just keep your handy dandy 5 iframe punch spreadsheet, your PDF rather, right here. So now that we've got the content set up, let's just do a quick overview because you can kind of see how quickly it's possible to publish. And the main purpose here is to build massive domain authority, similar to the way that we teach it in other courses, but rather quickly in a kind of curative form. And you're going to see that I'll be using bookmarklets. And that's basically how you would view it, right, Jimmy? It's a form of domain authority stacking.
Yeah, absolutely, Russ. Yeah, that's exactly what this is, especially when I first saw it.
Yeah, we talked about it when when you and I first met, and it was basically a super fast version of what it is that you're teaching on the advanced levels, and it's a really great way for everybody to become familiar with domain authority stacking. So yeah, thanks for weighing in on that. I just wanted to give people a little bit of insight. It's one of the hot topics when you and I first started having conversations. So the idea here is, since it's iframe focused, that's one of the major distinctions. I called it the 5 iframe punch, which confused some people only because they didn't know what an iframe was. But once you understand that iframes do pass juice, and they do pass, and bots do follow them. There was a lot of controversy in the early years about iframes and Google not following iframes. I'm sure that either Jimmy or Sue might want to weigh in on this topic at some point. We can assure you that they do in most cases. Now, like anything else, there's special situations where that is not the case, but they adhere to all the other rules that Jimmy and Sue are showing you with various other courses. Okay, so the main thing here is that I want your YouTube video to pass juice back to the blog, and we want the blog to also be syndicated. So this is really about multimedia distribution across all these platforms. So another thing I'd like to add is that you don't need to limit it to the iframe, but for the first times that you do this, the first time's always the hardest. The first processes of doing this, go ahead and make sure that you're following this particular method, and you can always add your own platforms later on as you learn more and more of Jimmy and Sue's methods. You'll see that there's all kinds of things that can be stacked. Once you understand the principle of the thing, that's what makes the Network Empire team, the OMG team, so much different than many of the training courses out there, is that we're very interested in you understanding the principle, and then you can riff. It's like learning music. I'm a musician, and sometimes you can improvise, but if you don't know the basic chord sequence, then it all sounds like a cacophony of disharmony. So it's the same thing with learning SEO or anything else. Once you understand the principles of domain authority of iframes, you can start riffing or adding your own cool tactics and tricks. So YouTube, let's go over it. YouTube is going to go inside your blog post, which we just did. Okay, we'll leave the feeds out of it for a second. Hopefully you've already learned about feeds. If not, you're going to be on those videos soon. So just keep it in the back of your mind that, holy smokes, feeds are available to all these things that you're iframe punching as well. Okay, so you're going to take that blog article and you're going to run it into Quora, and you're going to put the video right in your little Quora article. Okay, then you're going to take the same article on YouTube, and we're actually you're going to write a little bit of a different headline for all these, and you're going to change the content up quite a bit. Now, since I want to get through this today, I'm not going to be changing the content as much as I should each time. Okay, but we'll talk about it when that happens. Okay, here's a step called the blog. Now, we would have already added this to your blog, and frame 4 is something that we don't do that much anymore, but when we get to this point, we're going to talk about that so that we can use it as a lesson. And there's times when you can do that and times when you may not want to do that, so we'll get into that. One of the things that I do here in frame 4 now is take an audio version, if I can, of the video that I've done, and so that I have the power coming from SoundCloud. Okay, so we'll probably switch that out. And then you can scoop that. And what's really happening here is in frame 6 is when I teach you how to use the curation software, the curation website, you can actually then go back and you can scoop all these other things that you've done, and you can run all of them through Scoop It. So what you have is this very integrated and indigenous relationship where everything is connected to everything, but all of them have a whole lot of domain authority. Okay, so we're going to go through the basic processes of what that means, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how easy it is. Okay, so let's roll back to the blog post. Just remember our blog post. For the purpose of this demonstration, I have enough on here. It's in the middle of the night here, like quite late, so I don't have to have this perfect. One of the things I almost always do is put a banner at the bottom of every article that I do. And I have my own system set up to create banners quickly so that I don't have to do it every time. It's probably something, if we get enough feedback from you folks, we can actually add that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm such a radical that even in trading video, I will not hesitate to mark it. So, because I don't like to publish anything without a purpose, even if it's a demonstration like this one. So I'll go over to shortcodes and open that up in a new browser. And since it's so easy, we do teach how to do this in some of our training, but I use something called shortcodes. And probably what I'm going to do right here, since you guys are familiar with Social Explosion, I'm actually going to do a promo at the bottom of this post for Social Explosion. And this is just good practice for you guys to realize that each time that you, whenever you publish something, you should have some call to action or some type of thing within that, okay? And that's good enough. All right, so, and your tags, you're going to do your SEO tags. Now we'll go ahead and just for the purposes of keep moving here, we're going to go ahead and just publish this. I have it on the right category. And you have to be careful even when you're publishing a demo because it's going to go right out there on your feed. So you got to be a little bit careful about that. But we are now live for the purposes of this demonstration here. Okay, and it's called the 5 iframe punch as domain authority building. You can see it's got a nice video here, and here is the content of the 5 iframe punch training course, and it's got my temporary content, and then it's got my, of course, big giant gaudy banner to make sure that everybody buys my stuff. Okay. So theoretically, if I walked away tonight, I could make a sale by tomorrow. You know, because remember, all the stuff you guys are learning from RSS feeds, that is already happening on this blog. It's already going like everywhere. That's why I was careful when I published it. All right, so that just gives you an idea of how fast, gun to your head, publishing can actually be. I mean, if you're doing this right and you have these one feed systems set up, you don't even have to do the 5 iframe punch, and you're already out there. Okay, if you've done our other steps. But if you want to take it that extra step, the 5 iframe punch is going to be the next step. We're going to want to take this whole thing and we're going to want to put it over to, for example, Quora. So in Quora, I'm going to take some similar content. It's going to be, let's just go over to Quora. Quora, you're going to want to set up a profile the same way that you set up a profile in the video that I showed you with the introduction to RSS or to OneFeed. Okay, and there's different ways that you can do this. You can add your own question. Okay, you could, for instance, you could answer a question. You could add a question called and answer your own question. How can I quickly curate my content with SEO power? Okay, you could do something like that. So you could add that own question. Check for the existing questions. Men's lifestyle. My question is new. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm gonna go ahead and keep it new. I'm gonna just put it under content curation. Okay, we're gonna add that question. It is possible to add your own question, to answer your own question. I'm pretty sure, unless they've changed the stats. So here's write your answer. How can I quickly curate? So you can create your new question and answer your own question. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to take very quick content because I'm not going to show you how. We have a method of content creation called painkiller article method. I would probably do a very nice painkiller article method inside this frame, and I would take a piece or a snippet of that, and probably will come back later on and do that, and I would carefully rearrange some of that content so it's not the exact same dupe content. Okay, but more importantly, you are the content you publish. Scoop it. Frame 5. Let me just look at that. Interesting. Okay, I think Scoop it has I think it's like a hashtag function. That's new. Okay, so what I would probably do is then also take this video. One thing you do want to do inside Quora every single time is drop the video.
Hello, hello, hello. Russell
Okay.
Wright from Network
One point
Empire.
I want to make is that the description tag in this, since this was privately published before, doesn't have a very good one. This description tag is something that Jimmy and I are going to roughly go through with you quickly here, but it's going to need to point, we're going to need to show you how to do the basic descriptions properly. Okay, it's going to have, there's a relationship to your video to your content. And Jimmy and Sue, we had a general consensus after one of our training courses about what that would be. So I think we came to an agreement. If you guys, we don't have to do this right now, but we do need to show everybody how to properly fill out the description in the relationship to the blog, because this video is already built into the blog. So this is a topic that we're going to need to get into. So just letting you know that's coming. So the video I'm going to put here at the top. One of the things I found quite interesting about Quora is that they really like video, and you'll find that many people, many platforms really like video. And this is a key function. And so just put it in there, and you can tell that Quora is programmed to make it pop, okay, to activate the video function. I'm going to say something like, here's one of the ways that we quickly curate content without losing any SEO power, okay? And then probably what I would do, I'm not really sure what this is. This is kind of a new function. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. It's like a hashtag from Guillaume's Scoop It. He must have hashtagged it. So, because the creator of Scoop It is pretty active on Quora. And so you would want the video, but also you're going to point, I'm going to point back to the article with the keyword that I'm interested in, like rapid 5 iframe punch. Now you got to be very careful on Quora. You don't want to overtly promote. So I would never link directly to a sales page in here. Okay, I would probably go to something, like the article. Here is, and what you do want to do is have an article that's slightly different. So even though the article is currently exactly the same right now, just note at the end of this presentation, I'm going to go back and add several paragraphs of decent content. And domain. So if domain authority stacking or domain authority, I think the word was building, which is not even a word. There's no really hot keywords I'm trying to rank for in here. Probably I could have done something a little bit, more popular and tried to rank for it. But let's just go ahead and leave it as is. Whatever your keyword is that you're targeting ranking, if you're doing ranking for, if you're doing local stuff, that's going to be fine. Okay, because you'll be surprised how much power there is in this method. So I'm going to go ahead and drive them back to this particular link. And we'll just put that right in there. Iframe stacking and domain. I'm going to target domain authority stacking. I'll probably just keep it like that. Okay, and then you can actually add a link each time. Somebody have a comment?
I was just gonna say it's always good. this is something I do when I'm looking for other LSI terms, is always being sure to put in
Diverse.
those exact keywords into your blog or your whatever article you're trying to promote
Yeah.
or rank for, or even use as a backlink, because that adds a lot more relevance to the links going into it. In this case, it goes to the YouTube video,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, as you might come back through and try to boost this page up, and that'll help all of it rank together.
Right.
So sometimes you can create that blanketing type effect.
Exactly. So, in other words, you're saying that I should use the keyword that I'm targeting in the Quora post.
Absolutely.
And you also want to diversify the backlink. So it's domain authority building. This could be whatever popular keyword our listeners are targeting, but domain authority building is the keyword, and domain authority stacking is a related keyword. So that's a pseudo LSI, right? Something like that, or it's diverse.
Right.
So is that useful?
Yeah, partial differs, I believe. Yeah.
Right. And even though our listeners, this is not a popular keyword with a lot of money or anything, it's a term that we created. It is making money for us now because domain authority stacking has gotten out there. So probably I would have really want to reverse that. I probably want to target domain authority stacking on the blog and put the version of it, domain authority building, here. Is it too late to change that, Sue? Can I change the headline now? Let's go ahead and do it.
Sure, you can change the headline.
The reason I want my listeners to know why I was doing that, I'm going very quickly so that we can get this in under an hour. And if I'd thought clearly, if I'd done my keyword research like you guys have already been taught, I would have remembered that, or if I talked to Sue and Jimmy and looked at our accounts receivables and our profitable keywords, I would have realized that domain authority stacking is the keyword that I want to target because it's popular now and is making us money. Domain authority building is something that I just made up. So I'm going to target that one, just to update it. By the way, that will not update it on the feeds that already went out. So make sure that you get it right the absolute first time, you guys. So it will update it on your RSS feed in the blog, but if you already syndicated out there, it's going to be the keyword that you didn't want. Which, it's fine because we're publishing many blog posts a week. But I just want you guys to be aware of that. So we'll go ahead and go back here. We'll put domain authority building. Okay, it's just kind of a diversification of that same term. I'm sure it could have been fine to leave it either way. Go ahead and put that in there. That's a lesson on how to remember what keyword you're targeting. Okay, and then at that point, we'll just go. You used to be able to put links in. They might have removed that ability. Insert an image. Yeah, that's interesting. I think they removed that function for advanced users. Another thing to remember is these platforms are changing so quickly, you guys, that at a certain point, you need to be aware of that. And let me just see if that really is what's going on. That is really interesting. Show link to URL. Yeah, that's new. Okay, we'll just leave it here for now. And so this is one of the reasons that we have you do your blog first. As Sue says, only tweet thyself, only publish yourself. And let's just go ahead and save the draft. See what happens. Okay, and so now we are published, and this is live. And it looks like they may have changed the linking function that only allows to drop links in. I don't know what the deal here is, but we'll keep you updated on that. But you do have a link back to the article. And any of the other platforms that we show you where you can actually hyperlink the text, what Jimmy is really saying is diversify that backlinking more and more. That's going to become key using LSI terms and other things that I'll be teaching you in other videos. Okay, so now you're published on Quora, and you just keep that published window open because this is your whole URL. That can be used later on. So let's go back. So if you've lost the plot, return yourself back to the PDF. Quora is published. Check that off. Video is published on your blog post. Quora published. Now Storify is the next step. Okay, Storify has gone through a lot of changes, but we are going to go ahead and log in. Now, for those of you watching who may not be able to afford things that have prices, even Scoop It has a free account, but some of you may not be able to afford any of these, then just skip over the ones that are in this chart and use the principles, because there's plenty of free things out there for you to put your iframes, and once you understand the principle, pointing back to your site. So you can see I've logged into my account, and I'm not going to give you the nuances of Storify. I can only tell you that it's become an extremely powerful platform. And let's just go ahead and acknowledge the domain authority for a second. Domain authority is now 91. It was 75 when I started using it 2 years ago or less. And my page authority is pretty high, just simply because I've used it for so long. So if you go to my profile, you can see I think the profile is a page authority of 50, just on my profile alone, with all the things that I publish. That's getting up there, as Jimmy will tell you. I mean, 50 is nothing to think is useless. It's a useful.
No, it's really well.
It is, yeah.
I mean, I usually try to gauge, if people are thinking in terms of PR.
Mm-hmm.
I usually you drop it down, so I would gauge that as probably a low PR4, high PR3.
Okay, that's great.
So if it's in the 50s, you just take off the 0, drop it down 1, and it's usually, a little bit lower than that.
And the interesting thing, guys, is I wasn't trying to do this. I wasn't focused on powering these up. And one of the points that Jimmy, I know, has talked to me that he wanted us to make, and why we're showing you the 5 A-frame punch, one of the useful exercises is that domain authority gets built when you're just doing publishing like this. It's happening by default. And that's a useful exercise when we're teaching you so many methods to intentionally power up your site by building domain authority intentionally. It can happen by accident, or it can happen by just understanding how to keep that power, doing simple steps like this. Just using your social media accounts properly instead of giving away all that juice, which is what most of your competition is going to be doing. So again, that's why we're showing you this stuff. So you just make a new story, okay? And I'm going to show a super fast way to create a new story, because I don't have time to show you every little detail of Storify. First thing they ask you is create a public story. And the first thing that I do, because I'm lazy, is I go right over to the post that I already created. You don't have to reinvent the wheel in order to stack these things, you guys. So the main thing I want you to understand is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just take the headline, okay, and you can even just swap it around. Domain authority stacking and 5 iframe punching. Okay, if it's just for SEO, I don't really care what the headline is. But 5 iframe, you could do the 5, and could do this little long punch method, something like that. Question mark, okay, and we teach that in our article method that a question mark alone can increase conversion by 2%. Isn't that amazing? But we're not teaching persuasion here, so let's stop here. Okay, so create your first story, blah, blah, blah. It's going to want to enter a description, and I just repurpose all the content that I've already used, and I try to diversify something like this. I don't want it to be too promotional, but since this is a paid account, I can do whatever I want. Like on Quora, when I showed you don't do anything promotional, well, you'll be gone. On this one, you just want to okay, so we're not focused on content creating, we're focused only on the stacking process. Okay, so that's going to look like this. Let's go ahead and enter some text here. And I'm going to keep this going as quickly as I can. We're not going to even do a fraction of what the story should be. Go away, Mozbar. Okay, so what you can do with this, I could actually do header size if I want. And you want to try to SEO this really well. Okay, so I can take the 5 A-frame punch video that we were looking at, and that 5 A-frame punch video I think was this one. That's the same one. Okay, good. I've got it out twice. I'm going to take that video, and what's cool about Scoop It is you'll get really good at using Storify as you start using it a few times, is you can actually put your videos right in. There's a YouTube video. I don't think you need to do that. Yeah, there it is. So it'll pull it out, and you can just drag it. And you can start curating all of your content on this thing. What's really crazy is that this story is actually going to be pulled into our next platform, which is Scoop It. Okay, now you're going to want to put some content in here. Make sure the content is not exactly the same. Do as I say, not as I do on this run, okay? Because I'm not going to be spinning the content for you during the demonstration or changing it. And I don't want you to get caught up in the spinning. Jimmy, do you have a recommendation of how unique the content should be? Because I'm not good at teaching that method.
You know, anytime that I'm doing backlinks that might be going directly to a money site, I just make sure it's unique and readable.
Okay.
I mean, there's no reason in taking chances that somewhere down the line you're going to get some of these pages de-indexed, then could possibly result in a penalty down the road.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
Anything I set up on tier 1, I'm just going to do the best original content that I can, and also making sure it's engageable.
Yep.
If you can get your content engaging for your audience, that can help send traffic back that might result in sales.
Absolutely.
So,
and there's a couple of different things you can do. Like there's some outlines that I have that are pretty much standard. Like there's a way that we do this every time. This is pretty much it. You want a video here. You got the headline already. Okay, and then you just put some of your content here. And then I always like to put in, on Storify, it's completely fine to put your call to action in there. Okay, and in this case, there's not really a sales page for this particular function. So if I wanted to, I could put in what I'm going to do in this case for the demonstration. I'm just going to put in, we have a location. Actually, I'm just going to leave that out for now so that I'm not promoting any of our stuff on this video. It just don't really need to be doing that. I think on the last one I put in, social explosion is what we did. Social explosion is really not appropriate to put in here. What I usually do is when I'm telling a story, I put the precise course that I'm speaking about. Since I'm showing you guys that course, and right now I don't need to be talking about other locations. So I'll go ahead and just click publish that. Because we actually don't have a sales page to that course. That's one of the values. I'm kind of glad that we don't really teach this openly. It's part of the Network Empire members area, but you guys are getting a sweetened version of that, so it's pretty cool. You guys already have that. So that's published now, and we're kind of live, and you can look at that at any time. Okay, it should be published. You can view it, and here's what it looks like when it's viewed. Okay. Now they've recently changed this. I don't like what they've done, but they've changed it so that they try to stretch the video image and they make it really, really big. And if you were to put an image in here, a high resolution image, that would be really, really big. So we're going to leave it for now. Sometimes the thumbnails and video look good, sometimes they don't. But the bottom line is the better the content on here, the more traffic it gets. Okay, and you can see you can also pull components in. So you don't have to limit it to these components, but the main thing you absolutely want to have is video. Okay, so what you've done there is you've just completed, I very, very quickly showed you how to complete a Storify story. Okay, and I've shown you at the bare minimum you want to include a basic article or story. A lot of people using Storify will drag in tweets and Twitters and a few different things just to kind of make it a story. And that's one of the reasons for Storify's success is so many people and journalists use it to just, coagulate social media updates all around. Okay. Sometimes I'll even put in, because the domain authority is so high, I'll actually, in the story, I'll put in a Quora link. Okay, which is kind of nice to do. So again, those are advanced techniques, but there's nothing that you don't have access to. There's nothing that you can't put in this, but just make sure that you're building your authority. Okay. Now, the next step here that you see on this chart, we're not currently recommending anymore. It used to be that Storify, the reason we're not recommending it is, first of all, it's going to be too expensive for many of you. You used to be able to embed Storify directly onto your blog. And they charged you a pretty hefty fee to be able to do that because they would give you the SEO meta tags. Essentially, you were paying a pretty decent sum of money just to get an iframe that would allow you to put your Storify story on your blog. We no longer put that on the money blog anymore because we put the rich content in your article, which you've already created. There are times when we might put that embeddable Storify story in other blogs, what we call WR2s, which is beyond the scope of this training. However, I do want you to be aware that you need to be very, very careful. You can see up here on the left, on the right-hand corner of the screen, Storify does offer an embed to paid members. Okay. We're going to go ahead and skip that embed process, but it is good for you to remember when you get more advanced that should you ever want to embed a Storify story, especially when that Storify story has a lot of other content within it, then you may do so. So let's go ahead and just let's go back to the edit function and just show you it's kind of fun. Now it's funny because a lot of these platforms will tend to have platform wars. There was a time when Storify really hated Quora. In fact, they openly didn't like them because Quora wouldn't let Storify embed their stuff. So it's kind of funny. And what's also very interesting is that, Sue will tell you all the time not to depend on any of these platforms. Like don't put your precious content on these platforms only. You must have them on your own content. You need to own the content that you have as well. Let me just go ahead and see what we got going on here. Oh, they have sure changed things. Okay, let's go ahead and find that. So you can see what I'm doing right now is any link that you want to add to your Storify story. So why people who are really lazy, including me, love using Storify, because all you have to do is you can even match your social media accounts, your own SoundCloud account, your own Twitter account, your own Facebook account. So everything that you've already published is right here on the sidebar. All you have to do is search your own social media platforms. You can just drag the elements of your already told story on other platforms right into it. Some people really like that feature, okay? Or you can just put in a direct link, which is the Quora page. You could power that up if you wanted to. Remember, this Storify story is going to get put everywhere, so you could also power up that story if you wanted to. Since this is a domain authority of 90, there's all kinds of little tricks that you can do. And anytime I drag an element into the story, I like to tell people what it is. So I like to say more information on Quora. And what will happen is when we start posting this elsewhere, it's going to power up that Quora article. Now, one thing I will say about Quora is that I think the link that we just put in there was the general page. How do I quickly? Yeah, so that would have been, let's go back and look. That's the general page. And as Jimmy will tell you, you used to be able to go to the precise article and you could power that up as well. Let me see if they still got that ability. Edit bibliography. No, it's all right. We're actually directly on the article. Some people have accidentally put in the previous page, which is everybody's answer. I would recommend that you do your own answer. In other words, whenever you're scooping or storifying on Quora, just go ahead and make sure you get into your own post or update. And that's true with any social platforms. You want to power those up. Okay, good. So that just gives you a little bit of fun stuff to play with. You can publish those changes. The point here is that you can drag and drop. You have a whole lot of control over anything that you've done. And it's kind of fun as a curating tool to tell a story. And try as you add your elements to keep a story consistent and put some information in there. You can also, of course, power up the blog post. And what I like to do here is I like to say for the rest of the story, visit. Okay, so just go over here, same thing. Go up to the right-hand corner, embed the URL. Go ahead and put that in there. And that's going to give you actually a direct link from a do follow link from a Storify domain authority. Looks like we are having a hard time with that one though. Doesn't like that. Okay. Let's go ahead and do a refresh when that happens. Though Storify is actually written in a framework called Twitter Framework, which I used to like, and as time marches on, I'm less clear about that. Let's go ahead and just click enter. I forgot to click enter. Hey, it's 2 in the morning, you guys gotta cut me some slack. So here you go, here's the actual article directly back to our site. Now, Jimmy, since I'm pairing that up, where would you recommend that I put that in this article, like up at the top somewhere or under the video?
Yeah. I mean, you definitely want it below the video. Anytime you're putting a page of content up,
okay.
You never want to do like an image right below your H1.
Right, okay, cool. And Storify,
I think how you have it is perfect.
Yeah, Storify has the image thing messed up so bad that you just got to let them screw it up and hope that the domain authority 90 makes up for it. But generally speaking, I'm just going to go ahead and see. So you can get creative with this, guys. Don't only have to follow my method. For the rest of the domain authority stacking story visit. So you could do something like that. And you could even push that down towards the bottom. Now that's a little bit weird, but you know, we're going fast here. This is rapid prototyping. I'll do a bold or whatever, just leave it like that. Okay, here's the outline for the basic training. So you still have the link back to the site. And you might want to rearrange the order and don't get too overly. One thing I will say is when you're doing the stuff that I'm doing, curation and the rest, you will find that I do my best to follow the SEO standards. And Sue and Jimmy watch me to make sure that I don't completely blow stuff, which I consistently do. But the thing is that these get so much reach and you get so much stacking at a certain point, unless you create a major error, you're getting juice. And that's the main thing for you to take away. Is that, you know, I'm surrounded by partners who keep me on track with SEO and they make sure that I don't really ruin something. But generally speaking, there's so much, just go ahead and publish those changes. There's so much happening that as long as you don't ruin something completely, you're going to get juice. And you get better and better at going through, you know, getting your keywords and all these types of things. The main thing I want to emphasize, what I bring to the table for you guys, is don't be paralyzed waiting for perfection. Screw something up, and Jimmy and Sue or Greg or anybody else who's your mentor will point it out to you, hopefully. Just be out there with it and just get the juice up there, and you'll see that this domain authority stacking starts happening. Okay, so that's actually publishing. So let's go ahead and look at where we're going to go. We're going to go ahead and skip frame 4 for now because we don't want to use that on your WR1 money sites anymore. Those are other techniques. We'll skip 4. And so we're going to skip the 4th punch for now. I'm going to put something in there instead, but we'll show you what that is. And then scoop it. In fact, I'm going to show you how to do it with the scoop it. We're going to use the scoop it as the unique thing. Okay. We're going to, for the 4th frame, we're actually going to scoop the Quora article, which is actually not in here. So we're actually going to add that on here for the 4th frame. So what we mean by that is we're going to introduce you to a platform that's actually created by a friend of mine, and it is a very, very powerful platform. So let me give you a brief introduction to Scoop It. You can see at the top of my bar here that Scoop It is a bookmarklet. I love the Scoop It bookmarklet because on a whim I can publish anything that I ever create within the 5A frame punch system. And because we've stacked so much juice pretty much naturally to these platforms, let me go ahead and show you what I've got. Here's one of my accounts. These are the curated topics. When you're a paid user, you can have up to 12 magazines. The one that we're going to be publishing today is Advanced SEO Website Silo Architecture Content Creation. So these, what we call magazines, are independently themed, and themed is important, and we get more and more into teaching you guys themes. Independently themed topics. Okay, the first thing you're going to bring to your attention is that the domain authority is going to be pretty high on this. It used to be checkable by the Mozbar. Be interesting to see if Guillaume has changed something to make that. There it is. Domain authority of 90 for Scoop It. He's gone way up. And this has a page authority of 47, which has actually dropped quite a bit. But it gets decent amount of traffic. And you can see they actually got, we were kind of laughing because we got the silver ribbon for SEO content, which just means a lot of people really shared these items. And it was totally something that we're not intending on doing. We were just actually using this as a hub to stack authority. So that gives you a little bit of an idea. What I want to bring to your attention is that inside this themed content, you can see that I actually have this Storify. Do you see how I have a Storify story inside of a Scoop It theme? Okay. That's what I'm really wanting to point out. This is what we mean by serious iframe stacking, the 5 iframe punch. You've got, let's really, actually, let me just stop for a second. Let's roll this down. You can tell that this left area is one of my older Storify stories. You can also see that it's got a video right in it. How many frames is that? Let's actually get right into what an iframe punch actually means. You've got the big frame, which is Scoop It. You've got Storify, that's another frame. Okay. And then you've got YouTube. as the third frame, or ground zero as I like to call it. And also you've got your own blog. If I did my stuff right in this Storify post, also the blog is in here. Okay, so you're powering up. So you've got a frame within a frame, and all that juice is getting passed. Okay, that's why we call it the 5 iframe punch. If there's anything that's more obvious, I think that's probably the most obvious way to describe in the real world what we're actually trying to diagram right here. A lot of people have their light bulb moment when they see that. Can you scoop anything into a high domain authority Scoop It magazine? Yes. We recommend that this is the point where you start to remain topically related. So you'll hear Sue talk a lot about thematic relationships. Okay, we're not getting heavily into it here, but thematic relationships are super important, you guys. Anybody who tells you that website silo architecture doesn't work doesn't understand how theming affects how domain authority and theming go hand in hand for rankings. And these are really important things for you to understand. So when you do create your magazines, think very carefully about your theme. Website style architecture was the keyword that I was targeting with this theme. Content curation, I kind of threw in the kitchen sink there, but SEO is also in there. So you can see that this magazine is probably fine for SEO, okay, for the article that we're publishing. What's also great about Scoop It is that since Scoop It is kind of the last step along the journey of 5 iframe punching, then you can just go along your tabs and scoop up each one. So what did we open first? The first thing we created was the the actual article. Okay, so go ahead and just click your Scoop It bookmarklet that I showed you at the top here. Again, just to make sure you guys can see it. You can get the Scoop It bookmarklet really easily. Just go into your Scoop It account when you get it and drag it up into your toolbar. Okay, you can see the last, what it does when you click that Scoop It toolbar, it brings up the Scoop It customized bookmarklet and asks you which magazine would you like to, which themed magazine, which should have been done right, would you like to scoop this particular content into in order to, well, basically embed your content into a high domain authority curation magazine. And you should add a unique insight. Okay, and that means that create some unique content here. And don't do what I'm about to do. Okay, you're going to put some kind of unique insight into there. All right, I'm not going to do all of that. That'll just be too much. Jimmy does have some advanced techniques that are way, way too much to talk about right here. But this is all about content curation. Most people think that iframes don't pass juice, SEO juice. I learned from this course how wrong they are. That's a little bit tacky, but I just, I'm not, it's 2 in the morning, what can I say? Okay, now what's interesting about Scoop It is it also allows you to directly publish to social media platforms. To that, I would like to say, be very careful what you're doing here. Make sure if you're tied into LinkedIn, one of the things that can happen if you're following our other systems and you're on the same layer of your empire, that is your money site, you probably have already published this blog post to Facebook, to LinkedIn. If you followed my instructions on the video that I did previously on how to set those up, then you would have already published there. And what can happen for beginners or intermediates is in the beginning, they get a little overzealous and they have a bunch of posts and they post the same article to these platforms too many times. Especially when you do everything all at once, you can have like 4 or 5. Be really careful when you're posting the same thing to a lot of your social media networks that have people in there. Okay, your top level brands, just be careful. So in that, I am fine to publish to my Twitter account. I don't mind over publishing there, but for everything else, I don't have it hooked up. I want all of you to be aware, however, that you can add a ton of other locations to publish your Scoop Its to, and Guillaume is adding more every day. And those are advanced techniques that we are not going to cover here. You can also set a date and time, and you can also put your tags in. So you can domain. Okay, So this is just the basics I'm introducing you to. Okay, and you can also put a link in here on your paid account. So I can put a link back to the actual master article. I mean, as if it's not crazy enough that we're going to get the embed, you can actually get a direct link in the content area. So I would probably follow Jimmy's rule with some kind of diversification here, but I'm just going to go for the, rapid fire. Yeah, I'm going to go like for this one. Give it a unique backlink. And if I were really getting the LSI stuff that Jimmy will show you guys later, I would probably do a LSI term around the word domain authority stacking or whichever keyword you're doing. Insert that there. A lot of other things we could do here, but that gives you guys the general idea. Go ahead and click publish. And that's going to publish it. You can look at it right away. So you're instantly syndicated to a very high domain authority service with a very high domain page authority. The first time that you go to your Scoopit account and you look at one of your themed magazines, and the magazine is all of a sudden reached a domain authority of 50 or 60. We've got one that's actually almost 60. It's kind of a surprise. You're like, oh, I wasn't even really trying to do that. But it happens pretty quickly if you do what we're showing you consistently here. Okay, so here's the 5, let me see what we did. Yeah, One Empire Yours. Okay, so that's the article we just published. You can see my little insight there. I've got a link right here, and that is a do follow link because I'm a paid member of Scoopit. I believe you can't do the keyword links with your free Scoopit. There is a free Scoopit account, so you guys should feel free to go ahead and do that. Okay, so now you can just scoop the crud out of everything. Everything you've already done. Should you scoop your direct YouTube video? Well, yeah. Okay. But make sure your description is filled out first. I don't know if any of my team members want to chime in on this description. There's a bit of controversy around it. I want to give you guys a precise way of doing this.
I'm happy to.
Sue?
Yeah, go ahead, Sue.
You can, I would put the link to the blog page.
That's what I figured.
Right at the very beginning.
Okay. Also see, should I do like also see or something like that?
Sure, you can. And YouTube will automatically shorten it so that you get to the top part's not just filled with the link.
Okay.
And then you want to make sure you got your keywords in there.
Okay. Domain authority.
Anything else you? Mm-hmm.
I also recommend at least linking out to all your major social platforms.
That's an advanced technique. You weren't supposed to show them that.
Oh. Oops.
Okay, that's okay. Let's reveal that secret here. One of the things that Jimmy really likes to do, in fact, I've got an entire file that I just keep permanently on my desktop because if I were to try to drudge it up every time, it's a real pain. I could actually try to drudge that up right now. Let me just pause and look for that. Okay, since Jimmy decided to give you this secret, and there's no way I'm going to be to bed before 3 a.m. now, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this anyway. This is just one of the many files that have been given to me by Jimmy Kelly, where I was forced to look up at all the links. Never in my entire life did I expect to power up every single link that I ever did throughout my day when I'm working. But now we power up literally everything. So my point here is that you guys should really definitely take the you could power up, you could YouTube silo. You could put a link to the top level of your YouTube channel, right, Jimmy? You could do couldn't you?
Yeah,
your
absolutely,
Twitter.
because you can link up to the channel that your YouTube video is in.
Yeah, and we've got actually the pages. So let me just start simple here. Today we're not going to get into how you can also power up the status of if you tweeted this. I could go back and grab all my tweets and I could power up the statuses. But let's just go ahead and keep these. I could power up the Google Plus page, which is the stuff that I showed you. So the point is you can definitely power up your social platforms, and if Jimmy's around, he forces you to do it. It's horrible. Okay, here's this. And you can take your Pinterest, So I've got this file. Just create your file for your profiles. Oh, that's actually a status update. But at the bare minimum, do your profiles. Okay, and then if you wanted to get really fancy, I'm just letting a secret slip here. You could actually power up the specific posts if you were that crazy that you wanted to come back around. But YouTube is so powerful that it's worthy of consideration. It really is, because you could go back and then everything gets crawled and then everything powers itself up. It's pretty powerful stuff. You could also do things like see us on okay, that seems a little bit more. And I would say that Jimmy has been recommending more and more that we have a little extra content. There is thin content issues for YouTube from what I've heard, but I think we got enough content on here for now. Probably want to have like maybe a little bit more, but that's okay. We'll keep moving here. Make sure you're public. Go ahead and click Save Change and add any other profiles on there. Remember those profiles that I showed you on the other video? If you haven't seen it yet, go back. The same profiles that you have on your Google Plus page or your About Us would be pretty useful. Okay, did I save that properly? Yeah, that's saved. Okay, let's go ahead and look at it. And you can really scoop this now. Now you can just go and click that same scoop it bucket. Everything is the same. Okay, you can do the same. You can add your insight, and by this time I usually have just a pat insight that I post right in there. So I've used similar insight every time. Okay, let's go ahead and use a different piece of content here, but I'd probably do it's on the YouTube video. Wow. There we go. Probably do something a little bit unique here. Same thing, you can put your link back to the, I guess I should power up the video on this one, right, Jimmy? Yeah. Actually, you can do all of it. Now, the thing to remember, this is supposed to be a content curation platform, so I would appreciate if you guys would remember that Guillaume created this platform so that it was for humans by humans. So I would recommend like not spamming the crap out of your, your insight. Part of the reason they added the insight thing here is like they wanted real human beings to add real insight. Okay, so it's kind of nice to remember that. Okay, so you can put your video here and let's go. Okay. Of one type of, okay, try not to get too creative here. Okay, so there you go. And as soon as you make sure you're in the right magazine, and make sure you can see on the last, I didn't change the headline. It actually automatically pulls the site. What I like about this is this headline will be the same as the video. You could change it up if you wanted. I could take out the multi-curation traffic syndication system. That's fine. Okay, it gives you guys the idea. The main thing I want you to walk away from this video with is the connected dots, even though I haven't given you the perfect granular level stuff, because this is incredibly powerful. And another thing about it is, theoretically, you could do all of this for free, meaning you don't have to pay for any services. Nobody should, I don't want to hear that anybody cannot power up their sites every time they do an article. I mean, I know a work-at-home mom who's doing only this and is working full-time, just getting leads and stuff. But the only thing that she really does is just simply this curation method. So there's really no excuse, when you're shown these types of methods to not get juice, not to juice up your main site. So here it is. Here's the video. Here's the that's the video. And the blog post is still, where's the blog post? Yeah, here's the blog post. Okay, all sitting again, but all of these are powering up. They're juicing up every item that gets scooped into them. So what have we not scooped? Go back to the thing. We haven't done the Storify story. That's one of my favorite things. Okay, go to your Storify story and open it up. And go to the, should be published. Okay, good. Let's just go ahead and click the view and publicize. This is going to be your link right here. Let me see if you still need that. Okay, last time I checked, it was still not a problem to scoop this. And then you've got the same exact method that I showed you. You're going to scoop this storify story. It's kind of interesting, folks. What you're doing is you're scooping a domain authority 90 and a domain authority 90 with a domain authority 100 at the center, all pointing back to your blog. It's kind of cool. And we haven't even done any of the RSS feed stuff. And I'm literally not going to show you the RSS feeds for this on this video, because if you go back and watch what Sue showed you and what I showed you in the original RSS feed thing, you're going to understand exactly what we're implying here, that some of these things have RSS feeds. So the cool thing is, if you're already doing the RSS feed stuff that we've shown you on your blog, then you're already doing all this. So you already have super hardcore RSS feed power in addition to the 5 iframe punch method. So really the 5 iframe punch method could be in addition to the other things that you have seen. So here we go. We've got the storify story. They're wanting us to add our insight. So go ahead and grab some kind of blah, blah, blah. I would probably put some real written nice insight content out of courtesy for Guillaume, rather than just pure spam. Put that in here. Okay. Quick video overview. Okay, and that's fine. And you could do a couple things. You could I could power up the storify story. Since I got the paid version, I can power up whatever I want. I guess I can kind of let the secret out of the bag is when Jimmy and I were doing this, Jimmy just told me to put all my links. The same thing goes here, like all those social media files. I'm skipping over some of that, mostly because of time constraints, but all those social media platforms that we put on the YouTube video, we can totally put on here as well. Remember those?
Yeah, we went super crazy on the...
In one of our trainings, we were like, yeah, Jimmy's like, yeah, put the entire thing.
Must have been like a 50,000 iframe punch.
I could just see Guillaume's face when he saw one of our posts. He'd be like, okay, wow, 40 links in the insight area. But I think just for good measure, as long as you actually put some content and your paid member, doesn't really matter. So if you're doing SEO, you've got it. So this is a method I didn't show you on the last two, but there's nothing stopping you from putting your social media. And in the case of these larger posts, if you're going to do it this way, those posts should be this precise status update. So I would have gone and grabbed the Twitter update, okay, and the Google Plus update related to this particular item, okay? Now, if that's not clear, ignore it. Just put your social profiles. Keep it nice and clean. Okay, so for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm letting a insider secret slip here. So take all of your social profiles, just your basic profiles at the bare minimum, put them on there, including your Pinterest. And what this does is, again, you'll see all of your money profiles start to get powered up as well.
I would have to add too, Russ, we got that testimonial the other day that this individual, all he did was a simple one feed system that we went over. He also did one DAS stack, and he used 3 Fiverr gigs. And he went from 53 all the way to #1 for the keyword he was trying to rank for, just by doing these methods.
And he's not even doing any iframe punching or anything like that.
Yeah, he didn't even get to this part, so it's powerful.
Yeah, I mean, this is like overkill, but we just wanted to make sure that if you guys really wanted to blow things up, that you could. You can do whatever you want here. This is kind of taking a bit long, but yeah, you guys get the idea. Point here is that this little box is I can't get rid of those stupid dots. Oh, here's why. Duh. This little area passes juice, and you're going to want to use that juice. That's my main thing. Okay, not very neat, but that's all right. You get the idea. And just look up here at your headline and 5 iframe punch method. Remember, it's going to take the headline exactly as it is, so you might want to mix it up a little bit. I'll take the number 5. Just go ahead and give yourself a new headline. I'm partial to creating calls to action rather than focusing on keywords, but between them both and the team, we have all that persuasion SEO. Go ahead and click publish. Yes, I'm aware that's going to be published to Twitter, but that's okay. and I'm going to publish it on the same magazine. If it were a different topic, I would, well, it's actually going to be the same topic because everything's the same. It's stacked. So then you're going to see the Storify story unfold in its little Java opener. Now you've got the entire, like I showed you early, again, you've got the domain authority stacking the 5 iframe punch method. You've got this weird nesting effect that happens, and you've got your video. And we're going to close here because we are right at the hour, and this is one heck of a process, but we just gave you the equivalent of a full day course in, like, I don't know, what, 59 minutes? And we even give you the tips that we only give at our live certification events, which is how to use the social media stuff, pointing all back to these. And we also showed you how to properly use social media profiles on your YouTube video. Those are all advanced techniques which you guys can definitely easily apply to get more juice. So again, what have we done? The 5 iframe punch. Okay, let's think about what we've actually done here. We've got in Scoop It, that's 1 frame. Storify. Of course, you got the video embedded directly and even open to the public there. But then right below it, remember, we've got the article back to the main site, and your main site also has the video nested into it. And then with YouTube, this YouTube video has all of the proper tagging and the description if you were to go deeper into it. And then, of course, the Scoop It Insights area also has all the profiles. Guys, gals, this is ridiculous. Let's try to track this a little bit more. We've got a domain authority of 90 with Scoop It, with a page authority of 50. For Storify, we've got a domain authority of 90, and there's no page authority on this one yet, but there will be because we're stacking it. Okay, for the YouTube video, you got a domain authority of 100, and depending upon the page authority of that video, which I didn't look at, we can go back and look at it. Okay, you've got serious stacking, and because you're following Jimmy and Sue's instructions, and because you're following some of the basic curation methods that lead back to Rome, not away from Rome, as Sue likes to say, only tweet yourself, and later Jimmy and Sue have been saying, only point your domain authority back to yourself. Remember, when Sue says only tweet thyself, she was doing it because she knows that the flow of power, literally, domain authority, needs to go back in your direction. And that's the one secret that content curators and marketers and anybody who doesn't really understand profoundly the way that power flows in the web, they're not going to tell you that, especially not the social media platforms. The social media platforms want nothing more than for you to waste your juice, literally, and publish everybody else's content and not drive any strategy or any content towards your own ground zero domain. We've just shown you, as far as I know, one of the more powerful methods to do that, on top of the fact that many of these, including Storify, have an RSS feed. I'm going to give you guys a homework assignment. Your homework assignment is to take all these ideas that we looked at, okay, these 5 iframe punch, understand it. Now, when you go to bed tonight, imagine that you've just done all that and that you've taken the RSS feeds and put them into the one feed supercharger as well. Okay, in the video that Sue has shown you. If you have not yet looked at that, Sue and Jimmy have shown you how to use the one feed supercharger. There's no end to the madness at that point because you can even stack the stack that I just shown you via RSSs. Everything I just showed you, iframe within iframe within iframe within iframe, also can be stacked because YouTube has an RSS feed, Storify has an RSS, which we already showed you. Your blog has an RSS feed. Scoop It has an RSS feed. You can go and grab that. Okay, we're not going to put that in this video. Storify has an RSS feed. So all of those can be pushed and to power up your Scoop It page even more. All right. I think that's enough. We are at 1 hour and 5 minutes, and so we're slightly over, but this is definitely going to help all of you to power up your domain with a little extra work, manual, but it's above and beyond what any of your competition is going to be doing in terms of powering up your domain. Do you have anything to add to that, Sue and Jimmy?
No, I think it's everything.
Okay, excellent. I really enjoyed presenting this for you. I know it was incredibly fast. Remember, don't get wrapped around the axle. Don't be paralyzed. Publish. Okay, above all, publish. That's my little bit of a different twist on everything. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to do things wrong. If a hardcore SEO looks at your stuff, when you're first working with it, it's not going to be perfect. But remember, everything is a promotional syndication. You want to get your stuff out there so you can drive traffic back to your site and close a sale, and keep practicing. If you don't get this article right, the errors that I made on this article, maybe there might be a SEO mistake here and there. When I come back, after I turn out this video, I'm going to write some great content for this. That's not a problem, because you have another article going to go out the next day, right? So remember, frequency of publish, or FOP, is one of the key components of not only success in SEO as time moves on, but it's a key success in broadcasting, which is the future of the World Wide Web and the internet. So thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you on other videos. Thanks, guys.